No, this is not a rerun. The riots in Portland are still as bad as they have ever been because last night, something like a dozen people were down there trying to set the federal courthouse on fire again, okay? And guess what? It looked an awful lot like what would Democrats like to call this? An insurrection, okay? Trying to actively overthrow the government by breaking in and destroying federal property. Listen, if we're going on those standards, that's exactly what this was. Because tear gas, violent confrontations, fires being set. I've seen pictures, I've seen video of it, but yeah, nobody's talking about it. What is this? We're normalizing riots at this point. It's no longer a shock to anybody. I just, what can you do, right? I'm nowhere near Portland. Theoretically, I'm actually fairly close to Portland in retrospect to the rest of the nation in the United States. But why? I don't get it. Why can't Ted Wheeler? He has pledged on several occasions that he's going to get to the bottom of this. No more Antifa violence. And what has he done? Allowed to rage uncontrolled and uncontested for, I don't know, over a year at this point. Something needs to be done, okay? You can't look to the governor, Kate Brown. She is just as incompetent, just as useless, and she should be calling in the National Guard at this point because, my God, what's left? What are they just going to do? Wait for the federal courthouse to burn to the ground? Do they just want it to be completely renovated? I don't get what their end goal is on this one, okay? It goes unreported. It is just senseless violence, and nobody's stopping it. Barely anybody's reporting on it. Riots exploded once again in Portland on Thursday, resulting in clashes with police who deployed tear gas and smoke bombs to fight back against Antifa protesters. It's clearly a riot. Outside a boarded-up federal courthouse, dozens of demonstrators set fires, smashed windows, and burned American flags outside of Mark O. Hatfield U.S. Courthouse, the one that they've been targeting for the year, until police forced them to flee. The crowd would later return. Yes, they came back again and again to break more windows and set a fire. The Oregonian reported any windows in the courthouse that weren't already broken were taken out in the riot. Courthouse walls were spray painted with the graffiti as well. Early on Thursday, a mob gathered to protest proposed plans to replace and expand an oil pipeline that stretches between Superior, Wisconsin and Alberta, Canada. My home province. Protesters carried a large banner proclaiming "Protect the land, end America." Go fuck yourself. Because unfortunately, a little handsy uncle did that for you that has caused you to be such a degenerate later in life. But asked for comment, Oregon Democratic senators silent on left-wing courthouse riot in Portland. No shit, okay? If they're going to be vocal about the insurrection that happened on January 6th, why wouldn't you talk about the federal buildings that are currently burning in your own fucking state, you morons? You inconsistent, hypocritical jackasses. Neither Merkley nor Wyden's offices responded to Fox News' request for comment after rioter attacks a federal courthouse. Both. Well, I'll get rid of that. Oh, God, there you go. Both United States senators from Oregon have yet to comment or condemn the rioters who targeted a federal courthouse in Portland on Thursday night, on Wednesday night, Tuesday night, Monday night, Sunday night, Saturday. You get the point. Left-wing rioters assaulted Mark O. Hatfield U.S. Courthouse in Portland on Thursday night, breaking windows, setting fires, coming back, doing more shit, carrying dumb banners, and just being generally soy-filled and full of rage because their wives' boyfriends probably took the Nintendo Switch back for the weekend. So they needed something to do. Senators Ronald Wyden and Jeff Merkley were both asked by Fox News, and neither of them would condemn the most recent violence to hit the violence-plagued city. Neither Merkley nor Wyden's office responded to the inquiries. Both senators had been silent on social media accounts and official websites after the attack on the federal officers and property, which prompted officers to deploy smoke bombs and tear gas to disperse the rioters. Merkley's most recent tweets, as of writing, was one that lauded the $1.9 trillion COVID relief stimulus bill, which, remember, 9% is actually going to the United States citizens in COVID relief. His colleague Wyden, who sits in the Senate Finance Committee chairman, most recently posted a tweet promoting his virtual town halls because he's too much of a bitch to do it in person. And that right there is a picture of the only man who is reporting on this stuff. Listen, he had to flee Portland because nobody would stand up for him. Andy Ngo had to flee over to the UK because his life was consistently in danger, okay? He wrote a book about the shit because he's the only guy every fucking day going and reporting, okay, collecting all the information from the independent journalists that can still go down there without being positively identified, because there's also evidence, well, there's firsthand accounts that when last time that, I do believe it was the last time that Andy Ngo went down there to do any kind of on-the-ground reporting, was when Chaz was blooming, when it was the summer of love in Seattle. And people were accosting random Asian-looking people because these leftists, deep down, not even deep down, skin deep, just under the layer of whatever banner they're currently holding over their arm, are deep down just racist people because they're accosting anybody who could potentially look like Andy Ngo with a mask. Just imagine that. That's probably like, what, 2 billion people at this point? So anybody who looked like him fit the description. We're getting accosted. We're getting assaulted. So he had to recuse himself from doing any sort of on-the-ground work because his home, his associates, they were the ones who were facing the brunt of this. And he wrote an excellent book out there. It's doing extremely well. Unmasked. I forget what the byline is of it, but it's all about Antifa. It's all about their violence, all about their history. I hear it's comprehensive. I'm looking forward to getting a copy and reading it myself, because the more I learn about these scumbag individuals, the better. And somebody else decided that they were going to go ahead and expand their horizons, understand the Antifa violence a little bit more. And that's apparently a problem. Apparently a problem in circles where the Mumford Sons are popular because the banjoist, which, okay, listen, this is what people who normally listen to country music think is edgy, but it's just fucking folk shit, okay? And they seem like a pretty based group because they've also taken pictures with Jordan Peterson. And the most recent outrage, I guess, I could, outside of just these leftist spheres like the Hollywood Reporter, People magazine, they were the only ones that were causing a big ruckus of this. But Winston Marshall had the audacity to tweet it out that Andy Ngo wrote a good book. It's important that people know this information. And yeah, he had to cancel himself from Mumford Sons. Well, mostly because the pressure from his bandmates started to mount. But at the same time, they were also pictured being in the same room, or at least, you know, surrounding Jordan Peterson and taking pictures with him. So I don't know where this is coming from. I guess maybe that was the only warning that they were getting from their record label. Otherwise, if anybody was doing anything that could be perceived as being right-wing, even though Andy Ngo is, if you remember, a son of Korean immigrants and also a gay man, not traditionally something that you would associate with the right wing, but whatever that is at this point, that old definition is out the fucking window, and nobody's sad to see that go. We just want good people on our side. How about that? But this is how we're going to wrap up. Winston Marshall tweeted that he needs to examine my blind spots after he praised Andy Ngo for his book Unmasked, which set off a storm of criticism on social media. Stop apologizing to retards on Twitter. Winston Marshall, the banjo player and lead guitarist, okay, good, he does do something credible, of Mumford & Sons, is taking time away from the Grammy-winning British band after he endured a social media backlash for praising a book by right-wing provocateur. He's the only journalist left. Calling him a right-wing provocateur is camping him, or putting him in the same camp as Milo Yiannopoulos, who is a total fucking disaster. But that's another story for another day. In a tweet posted to his account Tuesday night, Marshall said, "Over the past few days, I have come to better understand the pain caused by the book I endorsed. I have offended not only a lot of people I don't know." Then why do you care? But also those closest to me, including my bandmates, and for that, I am truly sorry. Don't be sorry. Don't apologize to the outrage mob, because that is the only time they have power. And eventually, something else will come along. That's exactly what Andrew Cuomo's doing right now. He's saying he's not going to step down under any circumstances. And that's what you should do. You should tweet out, "Hey, I really enjoyed this book." And if some fucking rainbow-haired spurg decides that they're going to have a meltdown because when they've taken time away from badgering Andy Ngo for posting pictures of people who've been arrested and thrown into the clink for a small amount of time, saying that he's doxing these people with face tattoos and no parents, that they'll just hop over anybody else who mentions Andy Ngo and just try to make their life hell. Long and short of this is, just grow a fucking spine. You didn't do anything wrong. Hopefully you take this time away to go hunting, work on growing a better beard, and fuck your girlfriend. Jesus, just be a man. Stop rioting for retarded reasons and stop apologizing for reading a book. Nobody should apologize for acquiring new knowledge. That makes me sick. But enjoy your Friday evening. We'll be back tomorrow covering something equally retarded. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.